Hello everyone, I am making this video to help you learn how to fine-tune your knee cars. Now the purpose of this video is really kind of threefold. First and foremost, I want to give you a close-up demonstration of what's really happening at your knee during knee cars. And second, I want to help you fully understand what the priority motions of the knee are during cars and really how to get more specific in your practice of them. And then lastly, as we go through this, I'm going to be showing you some ways to help you, tactically help you isolate those priority motions during your execution. So ultimately, the more specific and the more intentional you can get with the motions involved with your knee cars, the greater stimulus we're going to get to the knee joint and the greater impact they're going to have. So follow along with me, find a spot where you can move around a little bit, kick your shoes off, and practice along with me here. First and foremost, the priority motion of your knee during knee cars is tibial rotation. I don't care how straight or how bent you can get your knee with knee cars. I am mainly concerned with how well you can rotate your tibia relative to your thigh bone. Now, to give you an idea of what this looks like up close, I would like you to pay attention to what's going on at the ridge of my tibia right here. I can rotate my tibia, my lower leg, inward and outward relative to my thigh bone. This is tibial torsion. It can rotate externally, it can rotate internally. This is the priority motion of knee cars. So the way I like to try to isolate this motion, and I've been doing knee cars for quite a while and I still take time to sit back and really try to dial in this rotation element all by itself, almost on a daily basis, because it is that important. At your knee, or at my knee, I like to sit down on the floor. I like to have at least a 90-degree bend in the knee. Sometimes I like to pull it in a little tighter. Typically at about 90 degrees and greater than, or tighter than 90 degrees, you're gonna get the most rotation ability at your lower leg. So with my foot flat on the ground, two rules that I think of and that I'm not willing to break as I do this. The first rule is that my thigh bone is not allowed to move at all. It's not allowed to shift side to side whatsoever. The second rule I try to abide by is my big toe knuckle, I want to keep it on the ground this whole time. So I'm going to, keeping those two rules in mind, I'm going to simply windshield wiper my shin bone outward and inward. Thigh stays perfectly still. That big toe knuckle stays on the floor during my windshield wiping motion. I'm going to give you another angle here so you can see straight on. Thighs perfectly still. Windshield wiper out. You see the whole ridge rotating outward and inward. One thing that I am mindful of as I'm doing this motion, particularly when I try to windshield wiper inward, and I try to keep that big toe knuckle down, because very often when you run out of stuff up here, run out of range at your knee, your whole foot's gonna curl up like this. But in order for that to happen, that big toe knuckle had to come up, which is why I think about keeping that thing down. Many times, if you're new to this and you're down here trying to do this like I am, sometimes it's hard to see what's actually happening here. You may not be able to actually see that shin bone rotating side to side. You can take your fingers, if you're hanging onto your thigh, you can take your fingers and you can lay your fingers over the very tip top of your shin bone as you do this, and you will feel the tibia rotate out and rotate in under your fingers. Now, where you should be feeling this on the inside of your knee typically is going to be deep in the back. You might feel it along these tendons on the inner and outer aspects of your knee, and you may also feel it across what we call the joint line, which is just kind of this, where your shin bone and your thigh bone connect right through here across the joint line. You can also do this very same type of drill of just rotating in and out 2 legs at a time with the help of, it could be a foam roller, it could be a yoga block, it could be a soccer ball, something at home. But something that you can peg between your knees, and again, that's to keep the thighs in place because we don't want the thighs moving around. Flat feet, and you can do the exact same thing, keeping those big toes down on the floor. A really simple way to practice the motion, both knees at the same time. You can also perform this from sitting in a chair. Typically, again, like to get those knees to about 90 degrees. If you're doing one leg at a time, you can hang on to your thigh. Make sure that foot stays flat on the ground, and you can work inward, outward rotation, just like we did seated on the floor. You can also get something between the knees doing the exact same thing. Very easy to do from sitting in a chair position. So when you're performing full knee cars, you are adding straightening and bending motions to the rotation, not the other way around. Rotate first, straighten, bend. Looks like this. You give your thigh a nice big hug, pull it real tight into your chest, because remember, we don't want the thigh moving. Rotate shin bone outward, externally. Keep it rotated out now as you slowly straighten, however far your knee's gonna let you go. I get stopped right about here. Pull back to the start. Rotate in, straighten, bend. One more rep. Priority is rotation. As I alluded to earlier, in my personal practice of knee cars, many times, many days, I will set aside a minute or so before I actually do my full knee cars and just focus in on rotating through the tibia. And that's something I can encourage any of you watching this and wanting to improve your knee cars to do as well. I hope this video was helpful for you in understanding and getting a closer look at what is really the intent and what's really going on with your knee cars, and can help you improve your practice. Thank you for watching.